You're listening to the Career Musician Podcast with creator and host, Nomad. With 20 plus years of experience in the music industry, Nomad has done just about everything to earn a living as a career musician. From being music director to celebrity artists, playing iconic arenas and stadiums, composing for film and TV, and even playing your average local club gigs, he's done it all. Nomad's mission is to empower musicians across the globe with strategies for a sustainable career while blasting stereotypes, and to bring you tried and true wisdom from his colleagues in this crazy business we call music.
Welcome to the Career Musician. Today we have Damon Thomas of thomascrown.com. But not only that, he is a 6-time Grammy-winning mega producer, co-founder of the super producers production group, The Underdogs, working with high-profile artists like Chris Brown, R. Kelly, Dru Hill, Faith Evans, Pink, Lionel Richie, Justin Timberlake, Victoria Beckham, JoJo, R. Kelly, Jordan Sparks, Ruben Studdard, Fantasia, Catherine McPhee, and the list goes on. That's just to name the artists, but let's talk about the filmography. Dreamgirls, Pitch Perfect, Pitch Perfect 2, Straight Outta Compton. I mean, the list goes on. And listen, Damon has an amazing message for you. You're going to want to sit back and listen, take notes right here on the Career Musician Podcast. Damon Thomas of Thomas Crown and lots of other endeavors and crazy music and awards and a whole mega career. Welcome to the Career Music Podcast.
Thank you, Mr. Nomad Rapole, my guy.
I love it. I love it. Oh, man. You know, it's funny because you're one of my dear friends who knows me from my legal name, Michael Rapole.
Yes.
And a lot of my friends who know me, before the whole Nomad moniker are like, man, it's just so hard to call you Nomad, But all the people who know me as Nomad are the opposite. They're like, man, I just know you. Nomad.
No, he's Nomad. Yeah. No, it's when I'm working. I know in 2 months I'm gonna forget who Mike is, but I'm working hard. It's hard because I know you as Mike Rapole. It's like It's like your name being Prince, and you want me to call you that
symbol.
That symbol. Yeah. Like I know, but I appreciate Nomad. And I can say this to the whole world in this interview. I love this. Me and Mike always give each other a hard time. Mike, Nomad is Damon spelled backwards, so I love your name.
That's so funny. And you always remind me that. You're like, bro, it's just Damon spelled backwards.
So I'm cool with it.
That's hilarious. It's funny. And I never even thought of it until you brought it to my attention.
You know why? Because I spelled my name backwards one time. I said Nomad years ago. I was trying to play around with names of companies. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
And the Nomad is such a cool name. So
Thank you.
Nomad is born, everyone. So I have a question. That white piano behind you is going to drive me crazy the whole interview. It's nice. What is that?
Oh, man, it's just a Yamaha, but it's weighted keys. It's a really high-end Yamaha.
Yeah.
And it's the piano that I teach my daughter on. It's her piano, basically.
That's really awesome.
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
Cool yeah,
thank you. Yeah.
I'm a piano guy. You got a million guitars behind you, and I see a white piano. I'm like,
right. Yeah, no, it's 5e. Bought her that when she was like 6 or 8 years old, somewhere around there. But so look, I mean, for those who may not know of Damon Thomas by name, you've heard his music with 6-time Grammy winner. You penned some of the biggest tunes over the years and worked with some of the biggest artists: Dru Hill, Faith Evans, Pink, Lionel Richie, Justin Timberlake, Victoria Beckham, JoJo, R. Kelly, Chris. I mean, it'll take me an hour to read all the damn names. So, the whole premise of the Career Musician is to empower musicians with strategies on how to make it in this business, right?
So it's funny that you say that. Even after having a big career, let's say we did I'm on my third career. So let me give you the first career. It was Damon by himself, and then Damon met Kenny Evans, who we both worked with. And then there was the Kenny Evans Damon era, which was not a huge era. It was like only a 4 or 5 year time span. And then he ended up working with the Underdog era with all of us, which carried on. But in these 3 different eras, in each era, you have to start all over. So let me tell you, So the Babyface Damon era, I had #1 records with. So you said Drew Hill, you mentioned Pink. Those records are written by just me and Kenny Evans. Okay. And then my first #1 record is Faith Evans, Never Gonna Let You Go, written by me and Kenny Evans. Right. So after that, Kenny said to me, his real story, he said, Damon, this is just after having like all the success with the records that we have done. You need to go start and do your own thing, because no one's going to really notice who you are, how talented you are, if you stay behind me, because he's Babyface, and I didn't get it at the time. I understand it now. And that's how Harvey and I ended up starting the Underdogs. True story. I went to Rodney Jerkins' studio, because this is 1999, the end of 99. And He Wasn't Man Enough for Me was on the radio. That's like this song by Tony Braxton. Like, that was one of the hottest things. Rodney was on fire. You could, like, if he ran up the street, there was fire that ran up the street with him, right? So here's a real story. Rodney had myself, the Neptunes, because they were just getting ready to be hot. We were all in the building at the same time. He was working on Michael Jackson. And so I went over there for a week and I worked with him. And because of my work with Kenny, Kenny really took care of me. I made good enough money. I had my own studio in this big old house. Yeah. And I was married at the time, to who. And I had this house. Rodney came over to my house and he wanted to work with me. And Harvey, Harvey's the producer, but he was Rodney's engineer as well. Harvey, I guess Harvey told Rodney not to work with me. And 3 months later, I get a call from Harvey and we start the Underdogs. And that's the real story.
Nice, man. It's really interesting to hear all the behind the scenes workings of how everything kind of came together. But nonetheless, the chemistry was there, and then a whole new era was birthed, like you said.
So now I'll let you ask me. I'm going to give you. So Harvey and I had to start all over, even though he had some success with Rodney and I had it with Babyface. Now we're starting all over. It's 2000. And we built the Underdogs over 16 years. And I'm getting to now, and then you can ask stuff about the Underdogs if you want to.
Sure.
I'm getting to now. We're in 2020. 2 years ago, I started this thing, Thomas Crown. And now it's starting to pop off. But it took, even though with all the success, it took a couple of years for me to get it ramped up back where it should be. So whether you're starting new, my advice to you is you have to work hard, no matter what it is. Not to brag about all this past, but I've had to work just as hard as I had to work in 2000, just as hard as I had to work because I felt like I got here in 1990, right? 89. And in California. I'm in Georgia now, but I got in California in 89. From 89 to 2006 or 7 when I met Kenny, it was hard.
Wow.
And I worked with Brandy in 94, and that was my first successful thing. Then I did Tupac, but then I met Kenny, and that's when everything took off. I felt like I made it, right? I'm there.
Right.
Then 2000 comes. Now me and Harvey got to rebuild it again because don't nobody care about what you did with Babyface. Now you got to establish yourself as the Underdogs. And we did that. And now I'm establishing myself as Damon Thomas and Thomas Crown, King Damon.
I love that. So, wow. Okay. So first of all, there's a lot to unpack there because if you really pay attention and read between these lines, what you're saying is, and the message is that no matter how great your last accomplishment was, it doesn't mean.
That doesn't mean. Well, I tell you,
you got to reprove yourself.
Yes, like I got upset with a guy for saying to me, you're a 6-time Grammy winner, you so da-da-da. I said, man, I don't care nothing about any of that. I am rebuilding. I'm trying to go. If I have 6, I'm trying to get 21 Grammys right now. So how am I going to get to 21? I can't be focused on what I did or all the movies we did or any of that. I got to be focused on the task at hand, still rebuilding, working hard, working like my light's going to get cut off. They're not. I'm good. I can walk away from this and go home and just lay up and live the rest of my life okay. But that's not who I am. I want to win. I want to still win. I have that drive to still win. So to new guys, I think I'm 3 generations in music, right? And I think this new generation, they need to work harder. They need to know, like, literally, let's take Chris Brown. I did Take You Down for Chris Brown. I did No Air for Chris Brown. I did Turn Up the Music for Chris Brown. These are huge Chris Brown records. And then there's 10 or 15 other songs that are on his albums that I've done. I'm just naming some of the bigger hits, right? This last album, and I'm on the Indigo album, but for this Breezy album, I've literally submitted 15 songs. I might have one or two that might make the album, but I worked that hard to do that. And what I'm going to do with the other 13 or 14 songs that don't make Chris, I'm going to submit them to some of the new artists to create the new Chris, because you never know who's going to be the next one. That's another lesson that I learned from Kenny Edmonds. I remember he asked me in the studio one time, he says, Damon, who do you want to work with? I said, I want to work with Usher and Whitney Houston because I knew he had access. He said, no, you really want to work with the next Whitney Houston. Whitney's already Whitney. You can't do nothing for Whitney that's going to change Whitney. She's already did all this stuff. What's going to make it impactful for you is that you discover the next Whitney, or that you discover the next person. So we were like the first guys to work with Chris Brown. We were the first guys to work with Mario. We were the first guys to do B2K and Omarion. So those are the things that we broke as the Underdogs, which made us special. And Tyrese was our guy, but he already had a couple hits, but we made some of his bigger hits. So we were able to establish all of those things and do that. When even with all that being said, it's 2020. In 2021, I got targets. I got people. I have a few new artists that I'm putting out, but I also have other. I'm more interested in finding the next artist. Right. If I do Chris, it's cool. If I do the other things, it's cool. But I'm more interested as a writer and producer, and all writers should think about it like this. I want to discover and break the next thing. That's what's going to make you important. You know, when you think of Billie Eilish and her brother sitting up in the room doing what they did, that's impactful. That's what you want. You know?
It is. I mean, you're talking about work ethic,
yes,
reinvention multiple times over.
Multiple times.
You know, diligence, perseverance, not giving up, and also pushing the limits of your own creative, boundaries, right? Expanding those boundaries to where there are no boundaries.
Yes.
How would you frame that in 2020 for a newcomer? Because let's be honest, the industry has changed in 20, 30 years.
Can I say something? It's easier for a newcomer because nobody has heard their music. Like, I could send you a song right now and you'll say, that's Damon Thomas, without a doubt. But then I can send you something that I had to write 10 songs to get to, that you'll be like, that shit is bad, but I wouldn't know that was Damon Thomas. Mm-hmm. So for me, I have to do things differently. I have to work harder because I want you to be like, God, dog, that's bad. I didn't know that was you, but that's bad. But now that I know it's you, I know, because you know me, chord-wise, I do things, right? Right. So it would be hard for me to send you something and you not know that it's me because you know how I move. So I got a few things that you would know, but then I got things that you would know that still sound fresh. So you have to do both. The new guy, he's got an open playing field because nobody's heard it. I guess the key is to come up with a sound that's yours. So I'll go back to the early Underdogs days. When I was writing with Kenny, why it worked is because I figured out I was Babyface. Dude, I was playing stuff that sounded like him with a few more chords.
Did you say Babyface?
Yeah, no question. I was
Babyface. That's awesome.
I had a few more chords that he didn't play, but it felt like Babyface when you heard the music. You know what I mean? So That's great. I made it feel like that. So when Harvey and I started Underdog, it felt like Babyface and Rodney had a kid. It took us 2 whole years to write our way out of that. And then we came with records like How You Gonna Act Like That, and we came with Over to Marion and all these things that sounded like, oh shit, that's urgent. That's the new R&B. And it took 200 or 300 sessions and songs to get to your own sound. So what will I tell the new guy? The new guy has to have his own thing. When you hear Timberland, you know it's Timberland. If Harvey and I got together and did 5 songs tomorrow, you would know it was the Underdogs because you know what we do. If for Kenny, after COVID, all he got to do is be Babyface because everybody loves that catalog, right? You don't got to be nothing else but write that stuff that everybody loves. He wrote the soundtrack to our lives in the 90s, period.
I always say the same thing. He wrote the 90s. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, so for us as R&B, the Underdogs wrote the 2000s. We did that. When you go listen to all them songs, we did all that. You know what I mean? And it's not our time to celebrate yet. They're celebrating the 90s now. In a few years, they'll get to the 2000s, and I'll get to smell my roses. I'm going to be happy. But right now, I'm trying to create whatever this millennium we're in now, I'm trying to create for that.
Some new vibes, yeah.
New vibes and be just as impactful, yeah.
Wow, I love that. So you're always looking ahead. I like that you're talking, as you're talking about this, it seems like even when you were in each of those reinvention phases, you were still zoomed out enough. So you're on a daily basis, you're hitting the studio, you're writing, you're doing, like you said, hundreds of writing sessions every day. Yeah. But in your mind, in the back of your mind, you're zoomed out and saying, it's okay. As soon as I get to a couple hundred writing sessions, we're going to break through that barrier. We're going to create that new sound, and it's going to pop.
I knew this. I told I have a business partner. He doesn't make music. But I said to him, I said, listen, I said, Montell, it's about creating a sound. And we talked about this a year ago. Yeah. And he said, what are you talking about? Now he you know what he said to me last night? He said, I understand. I know, I get it now. You've now created something and I can adapt it to. I know what it is when I hear it. And that's what you have to, that's important. So the story is this. I remember working, and I Kenny's my mentor, so I have to keep going back to that. We worked on these projects the first year of my publishing deal, and he said to me, so those songs, the label that I did them for ended up going under, right? So it wasn't, I worked on all these projects, and he said, well, you're in suspension now because those projects won't count. I said, well, wow, that's jacked up. Yeah. He said, well, you got to write your way out of it.
I love that phrase. You and I have talked about this extensively. Yeah, because that's one of Kenny's phrases. And you got to write your way out of it.
I wrote all the songs that we did that were amazing because I was upset, and I wrote these songs and I was going to go hard until I did it, and that's what it takes. You can't I hear people they get frustrated after they make 10 beats. I'm like, bro, you got to keep writing. You got to write and write and write. Somewhere you're going to fall. You're going to run right into the wall and bust your head and be like, wow, that's one of them records. All you got to do is keep writing.
I love that. I love that. Now, you just said something right there. You said, some cats will get frustrated at the 10 beats. Can we break this down? Let's break down from your perspective, who has all of the experience and abilities to speak on this, and people should pay attention. It's the real music business. This is what happens.
It is. It's real.
So here's the deal. Explain to the listeners the difference between a producer and a beat maker. Because today, and especially today's day and age, people seem to get that skewed.
So beat makers, so here it is. There's 3 types of producers.
Thank you.
Okay? You have producer-songwriter. So, if you think of myself or Kenny, we can write lyric and melody, and we can make music, right? Forget the beat part. I'm going to get to the beat part in a minute, right? So, if I start at the piano and I'm playing something, that's 50% of the song right there. And if I come and then if I then get with Kenny and Eric Dawkins and we write the lyrics, now I'm writing lyric and melody. And I'm creating the whole composition, right? Now, if I'm the guy who can make there's 2 things. There's certain guys who make beats and they don't think about the song. They just make beats. And hopefully they can get it to a writer and they write it. And how that makes them a producer is beyond me. But if they get it to the writer and the writer makes it puts magic on it, then they're all of a sudden they're a producer because they made the beat. To me, that's incorrect. That means they're just making a track, right? They're track guys, right? That doesn't make you a producer. A producer is a guy who can walk into the studio and never play an instrument and make sure a record gets done. Let's start there. Quincy Jones didn't play on Rock With You, but he knew to get Greg Gaines and all the great musicians to play on the record, right? The producer does something different than just make the beat. So when people say, give me some of your, give me a beat pack, I'm like, a what? I'll give you some songs. Like but I still send beat packs out. I know what it is.
Yeah.
So I gotta adjust. I make the adjustments.
Right. We have to. There you go.
I'll send it out. Right. We have to make the adjustments. But the truth is, there's very few real bona fide full blown producers that can do everything. You know. If I go down my list is, you know, you have Jimmy and Terry, you have L.A. and Kenny, you have Pharrell, you have the Neptunes, you have Dr. Dre. Dr. Dre is a bona fide producer. Now, he may not play like me and you, but he's one of the best producers on the planet. And I think Harvey and Dr. Dre are similar because they're able to finish things. And I don't think, you know, like where I start everything. Like I'm gonna get on the desk and dance and make everybody dance. I'm gonna come in and create it. Everybody's gonna be happy. I can do that part, and I can finish records as well. Those guys, they are finishers though. They mix, they do all of that. That's their expertise.
That's so funny you said that. First of all, I love your transparency and being honest. And I think that's the most important thing. Self-awareness is mandatory for self-growth, right?
Yeah, if you want to be great. How about this, Mike? If I know I'm not a mix engineer.
Right.
So I'm going to find the best engineers to come around me, right?
That's right.
When I was with the Underdogs, I had Harvey. Harvey was an amazing engineer, so I didn't have to think about it. I could throw shit up with the backboard, and he was going to dunk it. I didn't have to think about what the finished thing was going to be because I came up with the magic, and you're gonna go ahead and cook it. That's what it was. So
that's brilliant.
Understanding, like I know what my strength is. My strength is creating the magic, and everybody can't create the magic. You create the magic. You're magic. If you pick up your instrument, it's magic. If you and I sit in the room with 100 people and we play, they're gonna come towards and they're gonna watch us the whole entire time. That's magic. Period. You know. So Timberlake creates the magic. He also is his sonics are amazing. But Rodney Jerkins' sonics are amazing. But I don't think with something that Kenny taught me that I think I have a leg up is he made me write to his tracks with him. We did that for months. So it made me a better songwriter. Now, I would prefer, if I get with a great top liner, I'll just jump in where I know I need to get in. I don't got to sit there and micromanage and be the writer so much on that end of it because I'm writing the music, right? So I try to give them leeway, but I'll jump in when I need to jump in at this point. I have fun doing that. Where I think where a guy named like Rodney, LaShawn Daniels wrote all the top lines to all their hits. So Rodney sonically is probably one of the best to ever do it. Nobody's tracks came when you heard his tracks come on, you were fucked up. Period.
Yeah, you were.
But I think if Rodney had to, I don't really know how he is as a songwriter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In terms of not he's a great songwriter because he wrote the music, but it's a lyric and melody guy. I don't know his strength there because I know LaShawn was so. You know,
well, I can speak on that from, you know, my own experience. I've worked with Rodney for at least, you know, maybe like a good 4 or 5 sessions at his studio. And then we worked via correspondence, sending tracks back and forth. And you know, I agree. The unique thing was always his beats. He had this quirky sound that man,
it was so tough. Anybody get right to it, you make it a hit.
That's a Jerkins joint. Yeah.
You know, he had that. His power is in his tracks.
Right.
You know, my power is in my chord and melody. You know what I mean? And I'm more hands-on on what the lyrics is going to be. I want to know. I want to get with the melody so they hit the chord and do all that stuff. I'm that kind of producer. And then I'll go find the guy to make the drum sound right after I'm done if I don't got it right. So that's me. You know what I mean? Like I can get to that part. I can dress it up however I want to. If I can sit with you and we can sit at the piano and the guitar and I can write a copyright, I'm going to do that before I go make some amazing beat first.
Now, see, I love that. You said the magic C word right there, copyright. And in the biz, that's the lingo for, this dude's got a copyright. That means he's got a hit. You got a hit on your hands. Talk about that.
A lot of guys, so what I'm saying to you is, I'll get to copyright in a minute. So what I'm saying to you is there's lots of guys that can make amazing beats. Yeah. And they sound great. That doesn't mean these guys are consistently going to give you copyrights because they're not in touch with the song, the lyric and melody side of that song. They don't care. They have to, or should I say, they're at the mercy of the songwriter. Hopefully the songwriter writes them something good. Where I feel like Kenny taught me to be involved in the song, in the lyric and melody process. Whether I write the whole thing, I'm going to make sure that if I got these 3 writers writing, I'm going to make sure what we writing is right. We're going to go over it. We're going to fight about it. We're going to get it right. And that's how you get to the copyright. You don't get to the copyright by being the beat guy, because somebody might write a copyright for you, but if they don't, you just got a hot beat.
Hi, I'm a multi-award-winning producer, Damon Thomas, and you're listening to the Career Musician Podcast with my homie, Nomad, best guitar player on the planet Earth.
Follow the Career Musician on Facebook and Instagram to stay up to date on the latest news and tips from the world's leading musicians.
Being a career musician is more than just gigs and sessions. Are you a career musician? Find out on the Career Musician Podcast, streaming everywhere.
You got a hot beat, and now you got to put the rest of the elements together and find those hot elements.
There's so much more to it than just making a beat. Period.
I love that. All right, so when Kenny looked at you the first time, Kenny Babyface Edmonds looks over at you and says, "Yo, man, now that's a copyright." You remember that first time, that first feeling?
Oh yeah, I remember that. Can I tell you what it was?
Yeah, tell us.
And we had #1 records together, and it wasn't the records that we had done. It was I did a song for Chris Brown, and before I wrote the song. I took the song over. There was no air, and I played it for him, and he said, "That's a copyright." There you go. And I felt so proud that I had, and I had hits before then. Okay. I had done. He also complimented me. He told me. So right around that time we did Dream Girls, and he said that he said that was a really amazing job. And I got to go back to owning him. Harvey and I wouldn't have been able to do Dream Girls had I not had the knowledge of Greg Fillinganes, Ricky Lawson, Nathan East, all those great musicians, knowing who to pick to work on this project. Even Harvey's dad was a drummer on it.
That's right.
We had 5 drummers on, and I Am Telling You. But I knew because I said, you know what? Greg's going to play. We had 5 piano players. Greg Fillinganes is good for this part of the section of the song. Right. I'm going to play on this section. Tim Carmen's going to play on this section. And I think Harvey's dad played, and then Ricky Lawson played. And then we had Nathan East, because Nathan East can handle bass from top to bottom. Period. So we had all these musicians work, and I knew how to cast. I looked at it like actors in movies. I'm going to cast this musician for this part. I'm going to cast this musician for that part. That's the difference between a beat maker and a producer as well. So as we're going through this, I'm telling you, and I learned all that skill from Kenny. And it was on a song called Never Gonna Let You Go that I did for Faith Evans. And this song, if I play you the demo, I made the drums sound like on an MPC 3000. They sound like waters run dry. And it was my Rhodes. And I have the demo to this day.
Wow.
And, so he listened to the demo of the song, and I had the chorus as is. He listened to the lyrics. I had the lyrics written down on a piece of paper, and I wrote 100% of the song by myself first. And he came in and said, he changed the lyrics to the verse, kept some of what I had, and he took all the drums and all the bass and all the strings and all the little stuff away, kept my Rhodes. He brought Ricky Lawson in. He played the drums. He brought Nathan in. He played the bass. He kept my Rhodes, had Greg Fillinganes play the piano. And now we have my first #1 record. And from then on, I knew how to make records. Wow. I knew I had this talent of all this musical stuff, but I never knew that I could have live musicians play one at a time. I thought they had to play all at the same time. I never knew. Just take your time and spend one day on the bass. Take your time, spend one day on the guitar. And when he showed me how to do that and make it sound good with our good friend Paul, the light went off. The light went off.
Yeah, really. Explain that to everybody.
And that turned me into a producer, not a beat maker, or not a guy that just made the beats. That turned me into a producer. So you fast forward over to Dream Girls. When they asked us to do Dream Girls, they said, we're gonna hire you guys for, this is real talk, $500,000, because we already gave Merv Warren $5 million and he screwed it up. We only have $500,000 left in the budget for maybe it was $3 million they gave me. It was either 3 or 5, take your pick, right? And can you do 25 songs? Now, me and Harvey, at this point, we getting 50 to 100 grand a song, and they're offering us 500 grand to do 25 songs. I said, Harvey, we got to do this because this ain't Soul Plane they asking us to do. This is a big movie. It's David Geffen. It's got an $80 million budget. Somebody already spent the music budget, but let's get in there and show them what we can do. It can be our first movie. 25 songs turned into 61 pieces of music that we recorded for the movie. And we built in a royalty so we get royalties when every time the movie was played.
Excellent.
And so we didn't get a ton of money up front, but I'm not bragging, but our first royalty check for Dreamgirls each was $987,000. So you take that, and I've never seen a royalty check for anything that big before then. Or, royalty checks, you might get 100 grand, 50 grand, 250, but almost $1 million just in one check.
That's incredible.
That's a lot. So, you take that, and the light went off. I'm like, oh man, we spent 16 months on Dreamgirls, by the way. It was a long, hard process. Sure. Live horns, live strings, live everything. Right. And those are real producers. And I think, I just went back to the sound that I got out of the live records I did with Kenny, and I would play. I said, we got to get this sound, Harvey. And Harvey figured it out. And once we had all the good musicians, we both figured it out. It was hard work on both our parts to get that. But I think it was a learning process for him, too, because he had never done anything like that. I had done live stuff with Kenny, but that was really his first thing to do live everything. I had seen that movie before, and Kenny would come over and check on us because we were in the Edmonds building. He would check on it, and I kind of went back and forth with him, and he helped us through that. But it was one of the most amazing things that we've done. And then we went on to do, Kung Fu Panda, Shrek the Third, the movie Bobby, which we won a Grammy for with Aretha Franklin and Mary J. Blige. And then we went on to do The Help. We were nominated for a Golden Globe with Mary J. Blige for The Help. Then we did Get On Up with Universal as well. We did Get On Up, the James Brown movie. Right. So, the Black Panther, before he was the Black Panther, he played James Brown.
That's right.
And he was in that movie, and he was a wonderful person.
Oh, man.
And we did that movie. So in that movie, and Harvey, we had to get the old sound. We had to do that, and we had Paul Jackson Jr. come in. Yeah. And he had that, what's that box they use? That
Vox AC30.
No, that green box.
Oh, the green box. Oh, you're talking about the Kemper amp.
Kemper.
Yeah.
We figured out how to get all the old guitar sounds, and we, Chad Boseman wanted to come. He wanted to sing it, and we had to, it was a lot of back and forth with that, but we got through that movie. Then we did Pitch Perfect 2, 1, 2, and 3, and we did Straight Outta Compton, and they didn't have any of the masters, so we had to redo all the tracks. And those tracks were done with the help of our engineers. And I'll say this because I'm going to do a whole thing where I speak about everything that was done, from Rooter to the Tutor, Underdogs, all of that. And Andrew Hay and another one of our engineers, they both had a lot to do with the help of getting those tracks where they were, because we had to redo a lot of the tracks. I came in every morning and I recorded Ice Cube's son. They did their raps. When you watch that movie, it's re-records. We did all that stuff, so that was really cool. But I don't think there's two other, when you talk about the duos or producers who've done as many movies as we've done. We did a lot of movies, which was
it's impressive. Your filmography, in addition to your discography, is like it's kind of stupid. It's like, wow, this is. Yeah,
we did some stuff. But let's go back to career again.
Yes.
All that being said, I still got to work like none of that right now.
I love that. And I always say that to my wife, and I talk about business all the time. She's my business partner. And I always say, babe, don't forget, we're only as good as what we did yesterday. Yeah, but yesterday doesn't count. Yesterday doesn't count because now it's today.
like this song WAP for Cardi B is like the biggest record this year already, right?
Right.
Like,
it's crazy.
It's the biggest record until it's not.
Until
Justin Bieber, when Justin Bieber or Chris comes with something, then that one's gone.
Right.
And I love Cardi, but Cardi, like, I can tell you this, Cardi gonna come with the next one because they probably didn't think she was gonna come that big. That was big.
Yeah, that
she
was
dropped
stupid.
it off. She was stupid. And even with the subject matter being a little risque,
pretty risque. Yeah. Not a little.
Hey, look, you could have never told me we was gonna talk about that when I was working with Babyface back in the day and I was signed. You could have never told me that was gonna be where we got you, but that's where we're at. So I'll say this to you guys as career people. You don't have to like everything that everybody says, but you need to understand why it does so well. So from a business standpoint, it's not what you personally care about. If kids want to talk about WAP and we know what that means, you got to get into it. You better figure out how to write something that they're going to like. You ain't got to say that if you don't want to say that, but you're going to have to say something in order to win. Otherwise, there's for every 100 kids who think that's a bad topic, there's another 100 kids that's going to go do it. If that's what's popping, you got to be on what's popping, and that's facts.
That's right. That is very, very true. And I like what you just said. You take it or leave it. You can go that way, or you can go the other way. But you better do something that people are going to relate to. Right? Period. Yeah. Period. Now let's talk about this. Let's talk about publishing, and let's say you're a writer in today's game, and you're kind of youngish, or you're coming up, you're emerging, and you got a copyright, and it's going to get placed with an artist. It already got placed, and it's going to get released with this artist. And now you're getting your publishing deal, and you're all excited. Talk about how to inform yourself. Get informed in the business aspect, because now you're going to get these publishing deals that come after you, right? You're going to get these offers, but how do you handle that?
The publishing deal evolves every 10 years like everything else. Right. So like when I started with Kenny, there was a MDRC. You had to have a certain amount. All that has changed. So what you really have to do, and what I've had to do, I'm a publisher. You have to stay, just like music has a trend, contracts have trends. And you have to make sure that whoever's handing you a contract is giving you a contract that works for today. Because I was talking with someone. I'm doing this independent artist, and she said, "Well, we're going to give you 5 points." I said, "I don't care about points. Nobody sells no records like that. Why would I want 5 points?
Right.
I want a part of the net percentage. I need 20% of the net of that so I can make my money." And that's how you negotiate your deals. You got to You got to understand it. You have to educate yourself. You need to read books. You need to figure it out. And you can't read Don Passman. You can learn a lot from Don Passman's this music business book. But there's another new book that's updated. That book was in the 80s and 90s. So you can read that so you understand music from that standpoint to this standpoint. So you have to educate yourself. It's not enough to just be talented. You have to be a lot of other things. Like you and I are super talents, right? No, forget about that. That's not going to get me. That's not going to make us successful.
Nobody cares.
There's a whole other thing that's going to make you. You got to be able to get in the room, understand, be able to talk the language, be able to communicate with people, and be able to get it and make them believe that you understand it. Because if they don't believe you understand it, they're going to get you. They looking to smell it.
I love the way you just put that. The thing is,
he don't get it. We're gonna get all his money. He don't get nothing. And I call myself the champion for the creatives. I never want to see a creative taken advantage of, but there are business people who don't give a fuck.
That's right. And they will take advantage of you over and over again if you let them.
Yes, they will. Yeah. And smile on your face. Hey, buddy.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Oh, so true. So true. So get educated. Take the time to read and research.
There's a lot to do. Like we should do, like we're talking about it. If you want to do we should do an interview on publishing, then I'll get my mind right. And then I'll talk to you specifically about those things. We should do an interview on artistry. And I'll come back and I'll talk to you so that you can get this stuff out to people, because part of me and your job at this, believe it or not, I like to call us young, but we're older than the young ones, right? Right. Part of our job is to give back. So we have to be able to have these conversations so that we're giving something back. So I will say this on record. Me and Michael have probably part 2 and part 3 of our interview so that we can go touch on. He'll say, Damon, let's touch publishing today. Then I'm going to come in here full throttle as a publisher. He'll say, Damon, let's touch let's touch the record artistry, being signed as an artist, touring. And then I'm going to get my mind ready for that, and then I'll talk about those things because that shit changes all the time. It changes all the time.
Yeah. Okay, so look, we've covered so much. Thank you for all this valuable insight and words of wisdom. And this is exactly why I started the Career Musician Podcast, to give back to the community, man. We got to support one another. And I know you have so many, but any especially memorable moments that stood out to you? You're like, oh man, this was crazy. I remember one time working with so-and-so, something fun or engaging,
With an artist?
Yeah, with an artist,
I got all kind of moments.
Even if you don't name a name, it's
No, I'll give you names. Here we go. I'll do this. Eddie Murphy. I'm gonna give you Eddie Murphy moment. Perfect. And I'm gonna give you a Chris Brown moment.
I like it.
Eddie Murphy moment. When we did Dreamgirls, Eddie Murphy he sang the most songs, more than Beyonce sang Listen. And she sang stuff. But Eddie Murphy sang more than Beyonce on Dreamgirls.
Wow.
And he's an actor. And the first couple of days he came in, he wouldn't really even talk to me and Harvey. But he sat at the piano and he played the piano. He would say hi, but he was quiet. Then he would pick up a guitar. He'd be in the booth. He'd be singing and playing the guitar. He's really that talented.
Wow.
And then when he turned it on, he made me laugh for 30 days straight. It went from this very shy person to, oh my God, he had us dying laughing every day. So in that experience, and I'll talk about Beyonce. Beyonce might be pound for pound the nicest artist I've ever worked with. Oh, wow. In that 30-day period, she was on a diet, and because she had to get into all these gowns, but she was still kind. And I won't name the person's name, but the least star on the whole set was the diva, and that drove me up the wall, and it showed me something. You know what I mean?
Right.
And when we did turn up the music for Chris Brown, that was the first song that we did outside of the Underdog studio. So I remember me and Harvey on our way over to the record plant, and we were on our way there, and Harvey was just like, why we got to do this over here? Because we've written hits for him. That's our guy. We started with Chris Brown.
Right.
But when we got to the record plant, Chris Brown was in the booth. He lit up a joint and he smoked weed and sang the whole song in like 2 or 3 takes, and then we were done. It's a #1 record. That's one of the most amazing things ever.
I love that.
I said, you really gonna smoke the joint while we recording this? And murder this song. And that was that.
Oh, that's awesome. Damon, this has been a blast, man. You mind if we close with some rapid fire questions?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, favorite food?
Type of food?
Yeah.
How about this favorite restaurant?
Oh, I like that.
Mr. Chow's.
Mr. Chow's. Favorite libration?
I don't drink too much, but if I had to drink, I'm gonna get me a vodka and pineapple juice.
There you go. Favorite sport?
Basketball.
And how do you spend your free time?
If not with my kids, making music. I don't know. That's just kind of my routine.
Right? Yeah, we don't have free time as musicians. Yeah.
I'll play video games with my son, but all of it ends up with one of my kids.
There you go. Do you prefer to drive yourself or be driven? And I think I know the answer to this one.
Okay, I like to drive because I'm a car guy. You know that everybody knows.
That's what I was just gonna say. Yeah.
But if I had a month of studio sessions, I would prefer to be driven.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of which, what are some of your favorite whips right now at the moment?
My favorite whips. I drive a Hellcat, which is an American. I've always been this European guy. They call me Lamborghini D.
I was saying Lambo. Yeah.
I'm gonna get a new Lambo next year. That's my thing. I'm gonna wait till 2021. But okay. I'm driving a Hellcat, which is like 700 and something horsepower. It's fast.
Crazy.
It's like $100,000 Challenger, whatever it is. Yeah. But I'm gonna keep that car. That's gonna be my hot rod. I'm in the South, and they love that car out here, so it's cool. I'll get a Lambo, but I want to get what I want. The Lambo is normal. I have to get that just because that's my reputation, and I like the car. But I want to get this Hummer truck. It's all electric. It's 1,000 horsepower. It's the first super truck. You should look that up.
That's pretty cool. All right, what's the last song that you listened to that you had no professional affiliation with? You didn't touch it. You just listened to it for fun.
That I loved?
Yeah, that you're like, yo, this is my joint.
P.J. Morton on his gospel album, a song that he did with Commission.
There you go. Commission. Wow, you're going way back, bringing Commission back. I know they brought him. Yeah. That's a good collab right there. Yeah.
And also the last today's song that I like that I listened to was Her's new song. I love it.
Which one?
Her's new song.
Her. Yes.
Her. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. Super dope. All right. Favorite TV show that you're streaming?
Favorite TV show? That's hard. So let me think about that.
There's so many, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I like TV. That's my other thing that I do. I get so The Mandalorian.
Dude, I'm right there with you. I can't wait till season 2.
I saw it. I saw it last night. Listen to this. Me and my son watched it, and we watched it together because you can on Hulu. If you watch it, you can. He's in LA and I'm here in Georgia. Right. You can say join. You can join up to 6 people and watch it together and send emojis and stuff to each other while you're watching it. So that was wonderful.
Come on, that's dope.
My son's 12. He stayed up until midnight, and I was up at 3 a.m. and we watched it.
That's dope. All right, shopping, brick and mortar or online? Of course, without COVID.
I'll go to the real store. I haven't figured out. Look, me and my business partner, we share a house out here, and we have 8 acres in a 10,000 square foot house that you could. By the way, in LA, you're never getting that.
Oh,
right?
No way! Heck,
we have a pond and we have a stream. You're never getting that in LA. But they have deliveries, Amazon deliveries every day, and I'm just thinking, what is this shit? Like, they order everything. Like, I want to go to the store. Like, I still have in my mind, I ain't figured out how to do that yet. I'm a technical guy, and I like computers and everything, but technology, I just can't figure out how to call Amazon yet.
I love it. You're always wearing some dope threads, so I know you like to go pick them out yourself.
I got to go pick some stuff out. I just don't know if it's going to fit.
Yeah.
I go window shop online, but I just don't order.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I like that. All right. And finally, you ready? Here we go. Here's the big question.
Yeah.
What would you do if you weren't a career musician?
I would go to the Air Force and fly one of the baddest jets on earth, or be a lawyer.
I like that. that. And the funny thing is, I can see you doing both of those things.
Yeah. Those are the two. I can tell you real easy.
Yeah. That's awesome.
I even think I know now. You know what? So those would be the normal things that I would do. But if I was in entertainment, I would be an actor, and I would be funny because I'm hilarious. Like, I make people laugh all day long. And I thought to myself, what if I really applied that like 20 years ago? I could have really done that, because I have fun. I'm like the life of the party. I like having fun with people and doing that stuff and making people laugh. And in studio sessions, they can get boring. So when you come here, I'm like Rent-A-Friend. But the only thing about getting older, so let's say I work hard for 4 weeks, Mike, I need like 4 or 5 days off to myself. My new partner understands that. Leave him alone. I'll go to my room and watch all my TV shows. And I don't want to talk. I just don't need to talk. And then I recharge. And I come back and I do it all over again. That's me now. I need that. Like, I need peace of mind. You know what? We're still like, it's hard when you got to be everything to everybody in a whole room of 10 people. So that's, it drains you. So you need that time. You need to disconnect and reconnect with that.
So true. All right. So we can find you at thomascrown.com, and that's Crown with a K.
Yes, sir.
And on your Instagram is King Damon _18.
Yes, sir.
All right, man, bro. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Like I said, I'll come back. Let me know when you need me back, and we'll talk some more. And how do I watch this podcast or listen to it?
I'll send you all the links. It's at thecareermusician.com. We have a website, thecareermusician.com. It's on every podcast platform, including Apple, including Spotify, including YouTube. All you got to do is type in The Career Musician. It pops up. So,
all right, I'll have my team get on pushing this out there too, so people will know to go listen to it.
Please, what I ask everybody is to subscribe and leave a review, because that helps us push the numbers up so we can reach more ears. My brother, thank you so much, Damon.
Thank you, man. All right, man.
All right, bro.
Download, subscribe, and leave a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or any of your favorite podcast platforms.
Be sure to like, follow, share, and comment on Instagram and Facebook.
I'm just a nomad, nowhere man, writing the songs in this one-man band. A nomad, yeah, I'm a nomad.
Hey, this is Nomad, host and creator of the Career Musician Podcast, and I am thoroughly stoked to be an official member of the Pantheon Podcast Network. Pantheon Podcast Network is the first of its kind as an all-music-based podcast collective. Please be sure to check us out at pantheonpodcast.com for more info.